All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here this afternoon or this morning. Happy to have several of folks from across the country here visiting with us today on this important press conference. You know, this is a really important time to reflect on the past election cycles and moving forward, what can we do to make sure that our elections are fair and that there's a process that the elections are secure. I want to introduce Cleta Mitchell, who is an attorney that focuses on elections, and also Congressman Chip Roy and Josh Bresnahan from Oklahoma. I appreciate them being here. And then also Pastor Lorenzo from Michigan, who is here with us. Lorenzo Sewell, appreciate you and your leadership and all that you have done to bring this issue to light. And so I want to have them have the opportunity to speak here briefly. And of course, they brought a good group of folks with them from Michigan. And this is warm weather for them. Yeah, this is warm weather. But anyway, God bless you all for being here. But anyway, I want to first of all have Congressman Roy, who is the author of the SAVE Act, speak to us about the importance and the attention that we need to give the SAVE Act to make sure that our elections are secure and safe across the country. So,
thank you, brother. Yep. Appreciate it. Well, I want to thank Marlon for bringing this together, and Pastor Sewell, I want to thank you for bringing this great group, and thank all of you for coming down here and caring about saving this great country, preserving, protecting our elections. You know, at the inauguration, Pastor Sewell, man, he brought the gospel into the house. You know, my Southern Baptist pastor down in Austin likes to say, I'm getting my King James on. You know, and I think Pastor Sewell is getting his King James on when we were having the inauguration. Look, we're so blessed to have this great group here. And look, it's so critically important. I mean, there's a lot of people of faith here. You know, I believe that freedom, and the reason I fight for freedom is so we can spread the gospel. Yes, and so we can actually know, more people can know our Lord and Savior. And so I just can't thank you enough for that. And look, we've got to save our elections. We've got to save this country. And that's why we named the bill last summer the SAVE Act. With Cleta's great work and support from friends like Josh and others, we were able to pass that with 5 Democrat votes, by the way. It's a bipartisan bill out of the House. And that bill is pretty simple. It just says that we want you to be an American citizen to vote in American elections. We don't think it should be that complicated. We think you should be an American citizen. And look, now the radical left is throwing all sorts of crazy at us and say, well, this bill is going to prohibit, you know, married women from voting and other things. Nothing could be further from the truth. All fake news, 100% fake news. This bill, the only thing it would do is prevent illegal aliens and people who are non-citizens from voting in American elections. We've got to restore the integrity of our elections, simply be able to take a ID to elections to be able to vote. This is common sense. You got to use a voter ID to go into sporting events, for crying out loud, these days, and other stuff. So, look, this is common sense. President Trump talks about restoring common sense. Having integrity in our elections is common sense. That way we can trust them. We can believe in them. We can believe in our country. We can believe in the Constitution and the rule of law. More importantly, the people who want to change their community, the people who want to run for elections, they can know that if they do that hard work and they get the votes out there, it'll be trusted rather than corrupt individuals that are denying people the ability to go win elections. And that's why these people are here. That's why they came here from Michigan. I say it's cold. You guys are like, this is balmy. This is warm, right? But look, God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Marlon, for your work. God bless you. Thank you, Joel.
Absolutely. Thank you, Congressman Roy. And you know, as we all know, that we are unique creations by God. We each have a voice, but we also have a vote, and we need to make sure that that vote is protected for those who are legally have the right to vote, and making sure that no one on any political side of the aisle would ever take advantage of our political process, and make sure that we respect every person's right to vote. And so with that, I want to introduce a colleague from Oklahoma, Josh Bresnahan, great friend, and thank you for being here, Josh.
I'm going to have to help Marlon. My last name is horrible. It's Burkeen. Burkeen. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Look, I am so grateful to Chip Roy, his leadership on this. There is misinformation that you need to know, every American needs to know. In 1993, we had a change of law called the Motor Voter Act. And what happened under Bill Clinton is he started directing welfare agencies to deviate from their mission to start enrolling people to vote. What they also did was they put information, instructions, as addressed by Congress, that you found by 2013 in Arizona versus the United States. They cited that 1993 change of law as the reason why we should only have people assert that they're U.S. citizens, not show proof that you're that you are a United States citizen. That's what we're talking about. And when North Carolina and Virginia are finding 1,400 people on their rolls that are not citizens of the United States, think about just for a moment, if a 13-year-old walks in your state into a convenience store and wants to purchase whiskey, and he looks at them and says, I assert, I contend, I am 21. And the person behind the counter says, okay, then prove it. And you had a state law that said that you couldn't prove it. That's what Chip Roy's legislation does. We are going to ensure that we prove it. Last point. America is an outlier on this. Look at 47 countries in Europe. 46 of them require identification proof before you can vote. Bernie Sanders calls Sweden a bastion of example. Well, if they're the example, then we're the outlier when it comes to allowing illegals to be able to vote. This is common sense. This is to be a country of we the people, a republic where people who are a part of this government legally entered, we the people, not we of the illegals. And so I highly encourage this momentum not to be stifled. And thank you to all of you behind us that are trying to bring this to the forefront. Now is the time to act. And Donald Trump is bringing bold decisions, and we need to keep our foot on the gas on this issue.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Burkeen. I should have known better. I'm going to plead a freshman mistake, even though I really can't. But thank you. I appreciate you being here and your thoughts as well. Now, Cleta Mitchell has been a longtime friend of mine, but our families and many other folks who want to make sure that our elections are fair and honest and transparent. And so we are so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here and paying attention to this particular issue.
Well, I want to thank Representative Stutzman and his staff and Christy Stutzman for their work in putting this together. I met Lorenzo Sewell, Pastor Sewell, a week ago, and he showed me and told me about the problems in Detroit, where there are people registered to vote and voting in other people's names. I founded the Election Integrity Network after 2020, when I was one of President Trump's volunteer lawyers in Georgia. And I saw what had happened in Georgia. And guess what we heard over and over again in Georgia during the post-election 2020? People calling in saying that when they went to vote, they were told, oh, Mrs. Smith, you've already voted. I thought that just happened in Georgia. And then as I got involved with people all over the country, I found out, no, it didn't happen just in Georgia. It happened in state after state after state. And what Pastor Sewell and Ramon Jackson are going to tell you about today is how the people standing behind me and many, many more in Detroit are having votes stolen from their communities. Fair elections is civil rights. And what they're going to talk to you about in Detroit, we could easily stand here and I could tell you that what they're going to tell you is true in every county and every city in this country. And you know why? Because of that federal law that the congressman talked about. The reason we need the SAVE Act is because that federal law is broken. Congress broke it. Congress needs to fix it. There are hundreds of thousands of people registered to vote in this country, probably millions, because it's 400,000 in my state of North Carolina, my adopted state. I'm originally from Oklahoma. But people who have no ID listed on their voter rolls, on their voter registrations. There was just a contest filed about a House race in Florida where no driver's license number, no last four of the Social Security number. These people could be complete phantoms, and in fact, I would argue that they are. And then they vote by mail, and there is no way to verify their identity or their citizenship or their residency. So I want to turn it over to the people from Detroit who can tell you the problems. But what I am telling you is our elections are broken. They are fraud-ridden. It has been by design. And the people who have done that have hidden behind the black community saying, oh, we're just trying to protect the black people. No, they're not. They're trying to protect their power, and they're using black Americans as their excuse for breaking our elections. I'm hoping it's time for Congress to have some hearings on the fraudulent voter rolls. It's time for Congress to change the laws. It's time for the Department of Justice to investigate this fraud that is going on in Detroit, and we need to fix our elections once and for all. As Representative Roy says, we need to save our elections so we can save our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Cleta. Thank you, Cleta. So I was walking through Longworth hallway a couple of weeks ago, and I saw this guy. I was like, I think I know him. He was the guy that prayed at the convention in Milwaukee, and then he prayed at the inauguration, and I'm like, are you Pastor Sewell? And he was on the phone. And he's like, yes, I am. And I tell you what, Pastor Sewell, just as we started talking, I just felt this bond with you and just appreciate your love for the Lord, but also your love for America, your love for people, and the fact that you're here doing what you're doing and standing up for what's right and standing up for folks across the state and across the country. You're standing up for people across the country. And thank you for being here and willing to be a voice for truth. And I'm glad you're here, so please welcome Pastor Lorenzo Sewell.
I'm so Holy Ghost happy to be here today. Can you imagine it? People all over Detroit here. Can you imagine we have Christians, we have Muslims, we have those that are from the east side of Detroit and the west side of Detroit. Why is that? Why would black Americans and white Americans, why would people who are Protestant Catholic, why would they come all the way down to Washington today? Why is it that I can hear the words of Dr. King that says that there is no one that should know the longing and the aspiration of the people more than the preacher? That the preacher should be like a type of Amos. That when the Lord speaks, who can but prophesy? I hear the words of Dr. King saying that the preacher should be like an Amos, that justice should roll like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Why would we come all the way down here to Detroit? Because the people of Detroit said, Pastor, we found a political murderer. We found a serial killer. They said, Pastor, we found this political murderer and serial killer that has dead bodies all over the graveyards and the ghettos of Detroit. And I said to my great people of the city of Detroit, who is this murderer? All these dead bodies of poverty, all these dead bodies of crime, all of the dead bodies in our city. I said to the people of Detroit, who's the murderer? And they said, Pastor, the murderer is election fraud. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine our forefathers looking at our democracy and seeing people cheating and we allowing it? That's why we thank God for these great patriots here that are saying enough is enough. Fair elections, it equals civil rights. Without fair elections, we have no democracy. Without fair elections, I have no church. Without fair elections, there's no reason for me to preach and teach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Without fair elections, our democracy does not matter. That's why we came here to Washington. We came to Washington because we believe that this great country can get back to the place where we have one day paper ballots, IDs. We believe that this SAFE Act should pass, and we believe that we can be a country again, that we can trust the integrity of our elections. And that's the reason why we've come here from Detroit, and we believe that Detroit can be made great again. We believe that our country can be made great again. Come on, if you believe that, will you put your hands together? I want to invite up Ramon Jackson because he's the reason why we're here today. He is my political mentor. He is our church's political minister, and I want to bring him up here so he can be able to teach about proof and about evidence that we have found this murder, and we're going to put him in handcuffs today. Yes, we are. We're going to put in handcuffs election fraud. Come on up here, Advocate Ramon Jackson. Come on, put your hands together for the Advocate Ramon Jackson.
Thank you, brother. My name is Ramon Jackson. I'm the plaintiff. I'm an advocate in Detroit, but I'm also the plaintiff in a case that's pending before the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. The case is about our Detroit City clerk in conjunction with our state Secretary of State fraudulently registering voters who either moved away, transitioning, have unstable housing with low voter history or no voter history. These people is being targeted, studied, vetted, and then they being used in multiple elections. How do I know? I was a victim of it myself. I moved out of the city of Detroit, and when I moved out of the city of Detroit, they registered me back to Detroit when I had an out-of-state ID to an address that I have never ever resided at. They fabricated a faulty absentee ballot application in my name, and then once I looked further into the incident, I seen that it was multiple people in our city that this was being done with. We combed our voter lists. We get the voter lists from the clerk so we can see exactly who they're alleging is voting in these elections. When we checking these voters, we know these people. These are our family members who moved away or our family members who we know that don't participate in elections. We asking them, they don't even know what an absentee ballot is, never heard of an absentee ballot, never seen an application. We have affidavits for them. We have them coming forward in these elections. As the brother just said, without fair elections, we have nothing. Everything that we have ever fought for is futile. Without fair elections, we don't have no civil rights. We have no human rights. Without fair elections, we are under a tyranny. We are under a total dictatorship. That means that none of the decisions is being made on behalf of the people. So we come here and we appreciate us getting this session, but most importantly, we need to take actions. We need to be brought before a hearing, and people need to testify. We need to pull our lieutenant governor and our elected officials who have lost elections in Detroit through suspicious conduct. I have my sister right here, District 7. She's supposed to right now be our rightful city council member. She has been losing elections for the last 12 years by a few dozen votes, by horses coming through that we don't know. We have checked these voter lists, vetted them voter lists, and we have found and proved that it was people who voted for her opponent that never ever resided in the city of Detroit. So we here today with proof. This is not about a tabulating machine. I don't know nothing about how machines operate. I really don't know nothing about the computer. What I do know how to do is get a list, and I know how to look on that list, and I know how to go to my people in my community who I know don't vote, or when they tell me they don't vote, and that's how we discover election and fraud. And that is our proof. Our people from the city is our proof. That's all I have to say, and thank y'all for coming, inviting us here. Again, we have a case pending, and we waiting on the panel from the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeal to hear that case. I gave the case to everybody that's here. So right now, if we can pressure our Sixth Circuit courts to get us a legitimate, righteous panel to hear our case. I'm a black man, and I ain't gonna even hold you up. I'd rather have all Republicans on my panel. As a black man, I'd rather have all Republicans on my panel. When I look at the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals as a black man, I look at who Democrats, and I hope none of them go on my case. Why do I say that? I say that because I have been unable to get a conversation with any Democrats about fair election. Look at this. We have no rep from Michigan here with us. We all come from Detroit, and we don't got one of our federal reps down here representing. We got Chip Roy from a whole nother state. This brother right here this is who's coming down here to represent us. Another thing, last but not least, the false narrative that only whites think elections is being stolen, that's a fabrication And this shows it. These black people, Democrats, Republicans, Muslims, Christians, and the like, and we all here from one cause. We need fair elections in Detroit. So that narrative about only white Republicans think elections is fair is debunked. She's a Democrat. She's been a Democrat. This is my sister. I voted for her, and I'm a Republican. I voted for her not because her party, because she's the best person for that job. So at the end of the day, this is why we here. I thank y'all for allowing us here. But let's make some action behind this mission. Thank y'all.
Hey, thank you guys for coming out again. Hey, I want to iterate and make this very clear. Without your good representation that's going to represent the people and the citizens of Detroit, we have to stop this voter fraud. What we got going on in the city of Detroit, for some odd reason, our city council, who has been cheated in, they seem to tend to give hundreds of millions of dollars to already billionaires, and then the neighborhoods are poor, decapitated, murders and crime going on. You know why? Because people don't run their essential business. You know what I mean? How do you give billionaires hundreds of millions of dollars and you don't give a small business $1 million to open up? What we also have going on is a lot of devilish acts, and we need this administration to help us get these people out of office, or at least bring the funds and have Pastor Sue run the funds where we know it's going to be getting done in our neighborhood. Thank y'all, and Ramon Jackson will answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I just want to say thank you to all of you. And you know, that's what the beauty is about America, is that we can have differences, but one thing that we all agree on right here is that we all have to have our vote protected and make sure it's secure. So thank you again. Any questions from anybody? Well, thank you again for coming out. Thanks to the press for being here. Thank you, Pastor Sewell, for your leadership, and also Cleta, thank you for being here. Appreciate what you're doing, and we want to continue to fight for all of you. I'm from Indiana, so please adopt me in Michigan. And go Lions! All right, thanks again. God bless you all. Appreciate it. Thanks.